you ever felt frustrated, overwhelmed, or stuck wasting time in admin instead of growing, leveraging, and scaling your business? Then this podcast is for you. Welcome to Delegate to Elevate, the podcast that's all about handing off what you don't need to do so you can focus on what you do best. So here's your host, Bonnie Schutz.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Delegate to Elevate. Get done. This is Bonnie Schutz, your host. I'm so happy that you all are back today to listen to another amazing episode of this podcast. And I'm super excited to bring in a very long-term friend, which does not always sound good, but it's a friend of mine who I reconnected with just a couple of years back. I don't know, 4 or 5 years ago, maybe 6. I don't know. But we go way back, and we can talk about that later. But her name is Becky Clabaugh, and she is a speaker, certified life coach, and somatic financial behavior change expert, helping female solo professionals break subconscious barriers, expand their income, and build happy businesses. We all love a good happy business. With 30 years of experience and over 4,000 hours of coaching, she's on a mission to rewrite the money stories holding women back. Becky is the founder of The Club, a professional membership for collaborative service-based women. And she is the creator of a powerful quiz that we will share the link with in the comments below to uncover your hidden financial blocks. Welcome, Becky. Thank you for being here today.
Thank you, Bonnie. It's so great to see you and to be here today. I'm so excited for what you're doing out there in the world.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. Everybody, Becky was my coach. I had a lot of money blockages in my head. So here's that empathy. That's the menopause. There's that empathy that I have for all of you where, sometimes, and I love to borrow her little word for this. We have bugaboos in our brains that stop us, that maybe go way to our past and can stop us from making new financial decisions in our business. And we want to provide a couple takeaways today. So one of them I'm going to tell you, and then I'm going to have her tell you number 2. So we want to normalize that money is emotional. Yes, I can tell you that. And what else, Becky? What else are we going to let them take away today?
Yeah, there is a component of our early childhood paradigm that I believe gets downloaded in our nervous system like an imprintation from our caregivers and maybe where we were raised for our faith formation, could be school, whatever it was that was downloaded in our nervous system as little people. That's where the bugaboos were born. And that little picture back there of me is, I think I was about 3, but there was a paradigm that was subscribed to me from my well-intended parents, grandparents, all the things. And money in my paradigm was unspoken. It was a taboo. So to talk about money, there was a lot of shame around that. So being an independent business owner, and then things along the way, we have goal traumas and financial wounds that really do hit our nervous system. I call it a neurological wound. But there is good news because there is a way to heal that.
I love it. I love it. I love it. Yes. I think we identified during my 90 days with you that one of my bugaboos in my childhood was the unspoken. Mm-hmm. Also, my parents didn't talk about money and I didn't care. I didn't know anything about it. So I was nonetheless, who cared? But yeah, then that took me into a bad marriage, with all kinds of money issues for 10 years. And so what I can talk about and maybe you can expand upon is another thing I can empathize with other professional service providers. When do we make that financial investment to begin to delegate things and take things off our plate as solopreneurs, as small business owners? How do you decide what's good and what's worth it and what's worth hitting the bank for a loan for,
Yes. Well, in my opinion, it comes to the bugaboos. A lot of times what happens is we prematurely invest in a team or even just a VA or an online business manager. We're not quite ready because of what's going on right between our ears. And so we can overinvest, which is one of the bugaboos, in order to feel better, because that's what's going on subconsciously, that when I hire this person, this team, this fancy agency, whatever it is, they're going to fix everything. And I still believe that when we have an internal validation, because I believe the work that I do, it is an inside job. When your nervous system's regulated, it's so much easier to implement your business systems. And so when you have that dialed up from a very raw place where you've failed along the way and you've had some mishaps, let me tell you what, as soon as you mess up scheduling on Calendly or in Google, you'll never do it again because you learned from it. So when we hand over those things prematurely, it's really tough to delegate because you're still the leader. You're still the expert in your business, even though you have someone who says that they're an ace and they can help you do X, Y, Z. So I think it's a conversation you have with a professional, like someone who's very seasoned like yourself.
Thank you. Yes, seasoned. Salt and peppered. Yeah, definitely seasoned.
Exactly. And you are, because you're an industry expert and that you really know how to help people decide. So then there can also be that if you're under earning and you invest in something, it could end up as a double bugaboo, which is also a sucker punch. I've just named 3 of the 6 bugaboos, actually. And the sucker punch comes from a place of maybe you do have it in your budget and things are going along great. And then something just happens. It's sort of like it just comes out of nowhere, like a sucker punch.
Yeah.
And then
I've had a few of those.
Exactly.
We talked about those.
Yeah, we do talk about those because those stories in the nervous system feel so real. What's usually underneath that are emotions that have been unable to be processed. Typically, they're a negative emotion that's running in the background of your brain. And a lot of times we push those down. In addition to, they continue to make the story feel so true in your body. So that's why I use different somatics so that they can do the heavy lifting. When our cognitive brain is spinning around in the loop, they can't get off the loop.
That's right. That's funny that you just said that because I've literally had in my head to ask you to share with everybody what somatic means. That's, for me and those in the back.
Yeah. Well, it's a big fat buzzword right now. And as I shared, thank you so much for sharing my bio, that, the past 30 years really is I've subscribed to different somatics, which is using your body. It's a body-mind connection. And in my case, it's a body-mind-money connection. When you're using the somatics, a lot of times with coaching, even licensed professionals that you go into like talk therapy or something like that, you just talk. You're really in your brain, which is part of the process that I use from a body perspective from the bottom up. So getting your body in that perspective of what's being, I call it rejigged, from your nervous system to your brain instead of your brain to your nervous system. We're trying to regulate your cognitive abilities with your amygdala calm down by I use trauma-informed breath work. I also use a lot of journaling, a lot of writing from that place of dumping it out on paper so that you can observe what's actually going on. Awareness is key in any kind of transformation, but emotional safety is the secret to any kind of transformation. And so the somatics, EFT tapping is what I use. That's very specific to money paradigms. There's 4 different pillars I take people through. And so when we do that in 90 days, it takes about 90 days to make a new habit. And we really show your brain what actually is possible and that the wound can be healed from whatever those paradigms are that you're hanging on to that actually just no longer serve you anymore.
I love that. And I will attest to that. I was a non-woo person. And, God bless you, woo people, or Mother Earth bless you, woo people. And at first, when Becky and I started the tapping thing, I was like, a little resistant. But you know what? It helps. And it really opened my mind. And so, Becky, what I've been telling people in another form of delegation is mind delegation. Yeah. So I'm asking people to think outside the box in what delegation means. It doesn't necessarily mean here's my assistant and I'm delegating my calendar. It can also mean broadly other things. I gave my mind to you to be open to new things, and it taught me things, just like I would give my password to a VA to do something. So I do kind of, I mean, do you agree with me? It's almost like I delegated my mind, meaning opened my mind is the same sort of way you can delegate things. So, I mean,
I
to
do.
me,
And
that
I
was,
do, yes. Yeah. And I want to pause. I think that's really important. And I do believe that there is the hesitation a lot of times to hire on a team of some sort because there's a trust factor and emotions give us feedback. So if there is that vacillating back and forth about a team or not, or who's going to help me, listen, I have hired a lot of people who said that they could do what they said they could do, but they didn't.
yeah.
And the good thing is having pulse on the business that I could really assess and evaluate. Look, man, numbers don't lie. And so when you know your numbers, and a lot of times people who have been triggered emotionally by money don't even want to look at their numbers. And I have so much empathy and compassion for that. And we clean that up too. That is
Nice.
part of your fiscal and business responsibility to really know where your money is going and where it's coming from. And if you're profiting, and I've worked with people who are scaling 500 to a million and they still feel like it's not enough. There's just so many layers and in the truth of what's going on in your body. But when we clean it up, then it can be from a place. That's where the business can be happy so that it's not always about chasing after big fat figures. For some people, for my boutique business owners, a lot of times they just want the business freedom so that they can, we're in the middle of the sandwich right here. We got aging parents and, I've got 3 adult children. I've got an NCAA athlete hotshot Division I in college still. And my middle is a neurotrauma ICU nurse. And our oldest, he's an
Awesome.
officer in the Space Force. So I'm a life coach.
Wow.
And if you want your dreams to come true, I'm living proof that I can make it happen.
You go, girl.
I'm only
I
kidding.
love it. No, I have to quickly tell people that Becky and I were cheerleaders together in high school. Yes, I did say I was a cheerleader.
Yeah.
I don't know if you can tell. I don't look like one anymore. Well, I'm not going to self-deprecate.
No.
I'm still excited and happy when things are good and we're winning the game, right? So I think my business is my game and I have to invest in myself, which is what I did when I invested with Becky in her coaching. That delegating my brain and my money and my time was all me, and it was worth it. And I mean, to be reconnected with somebody, nearly 40 years later, oh my God, nearly 40 years later, like if that wasn't meant to be, I don't know what is. Because, you find your people, and I always lean again back on the networking thing. And when you're going to delegate, do your due diligence and get some, references and ask the right questions and see if you can have a short-term try for a little bit and see if it's going to work. But maybe you can tell me, do you have any horror stories of delegation or some amazing, amazing delegation stories where you just elevated your game instantaneously? Anything you can share on either side of that spectrum?
For sure. Yes. I have a lot of drama about that because there was a trust factor for me that I wanted it to be very super simple. I mean, I started my business with my stimulus check in April of 2020. I was able
Nice.
to really build a great sustainable business online during that time. And I didn't need any extra help. I did hire the best. Man, she was a business coach and she really helped me get my systems in place. I have a fantastic private portal that I have for my one-on-one clients, super easy to use. Now it's all automated. In the beginning, it was horrible because I made a lot of mistakes with it, but she was awesome because she was such a good teacher. And that helped me trust her because she taught me the back end. And then when I delegated things over to her and it was working smoothly, I'd get a bump in the road. I could be leaning on myself and have my own back, I could fix it. But then when I delegated things to her, I knew it would get done. So that was great. I have invested probably $80,000 to $100,000 in coaches, consultants, fancy things over the years. And I 100% know no matter what I invest in, I always get my ROI because I'm investing in me, like you just said. Even if the program could have been crap, that was just the idea in my mind that what if it's not? I always just took that opportunity to be able to be like, well, at least I'm going to get my investment back. And I always do.
I'm worth it. Yeah, there always are some little nuggets that you can pull out of even a bad investment.
Yeah.
If it's not just a lesson learned, it's going to come back to you. I just believe it. I believe it's going to come back to me threefold. But no, I mean, I think that, the key for me is, delegation is tough. It's like you said, it's a trust fall.
Mhm.
And, what I struggle with is trust. And I've told people many times on this show that, how doctors are the worst patients. I'm a former executive assistant in corporate. I'm the worst at thinking about delegating and getting an executive assistant. How on earth could they do better than me? Right. So that's something I'm having a little mind about, and that's hard for me. And it also is the money that I need to invest, because when I have all this money invested in other things, like, when do you know when to stop? Like, am I going to get myself in so much deep debt? I'm like, I've never, but I am super proud that my company went, like, I don't know, 7 years in the black, no debt. And so it was like last year, the first time I dipped into the red, and that was super scary.
Yep. And my favorite thing about that is that we can use this as an example, how we attach emotion to it as if it's something bad. What's interesting is another one of the bugaboos is in the income goals. And a lot of times inside those goals, an investment is required. And so that's where you can shift your mind. Just one little rejig right there is that, no, I'm investing in my business, and I'm confident that in this investment, I'm going to learn a lot along the way. I like I just told you, I've dropped a lot that I've invested in my business over the past 5 years. And what's the difference between that and a master's degree?
Exactly. Right.
How
God
many?
bless you.
I mean,
Me and my University of Hard Knocks master's
right.
degree over here.
Totally. My undergrad is in human services. I was a drug and alcohol addiction counselor, and then I have a minor in holistic health and wellness education. And in the human services, health and wellness industry, a lot of times there's a lot of under earning jobs that are available. And I don't even know what that whole paradigm is about. The point I'm trying to make is in any investment, there's a great return on it. It helped me be a fantastic mom. It helped me be a great dive coach. It helped me.
And friend.
Well, because
I can let you leave that one out.
yeah, right. Well, for sure, because it has taught me to lean into my responsibility of what I put out in the world and my trashy thoughts that are my own, and how I can be a product of my product. And I can say wholeheartedly that I really do lean into the tools that I share with people. And it has been a game changer. I've had a lot of grief in my life, a lot of hard knocks, a lot of medical sucker punches, and death too, from that matter, that
Yeah.
I've been able to lean into my faith and my practice of cleaning up my thoughts and my feelings that are so important, and to be able to share that with my board of directors who are emotionally safe people. And
Yes.
I know that emotional safety is the number one cornerstone for any kind of transformation. And every day I want to grow and learn and be a better person.
Oh, I love that. I'm going to so share that with my team. Yeah, I never really thought about that, because it's when I let emotions get the best of me. Recently, letting somebody go, that I realized, in retrospect, that maybe I got a little too close, but, that's a whole nother delegate to elevate. But yeah, I mean, I want to thank you today for being here, and everybody. We'll share all of Becky's links below with you, and follow her. I mean, connect with her on LinkedIn, do something. She's worth every moment of your time, your money, your energy. She is just an amazing person. She understands delegation. She understands small business, and her and I are master networkers. So if she doesn't know somebody, I do, and vice versa, we'd love to introduce you. Please share some reviews, some comments, things like that. And I hope today that you took away that it's normal that there's emotion wrapped around money, right? And it's normal that there's those paradigms that, that come from our childhood, and they get mixed in, and we can bust that. You can do it, right back.
Well, compassion and empathy for sure. We want to come at it with a place of a lot of empathy. Emotions are definitely something that take time to heal, but we can absolutely shape as grown-ups, as adults, that process of what would you like to create? And there is a way to do that, feeling safe and supported.
I love it. I love it. All right. Any last words or maybe another tip or a tip to leave folks with on, maybe a little delegation trick or something that's worked for you in making, harmonious teamwork and, emotions with your people that you've worked with?
Yes. I think one of the tips is when you invest in the decision that you're going to work with somebody, give it a 30, 60, 90-day trial. Make sure that it's a good fit. And as my good friend Alicia Bear says, if it's a fit, then it's a fact. And I love that so much, that you can really learn from each other's mistakes. Communication is critical. And when you hire someone, that hopefully they have their systems in place, because it's their responsibility to make sure that they're following up with you because you are their client.
Golden. All right. Thank you so much, everybody, for being here today. Thank you, Becky. We just love you. I love you to death. Leave us some reviews, everybody. Leave us a review. Leave me some comments. Let me know if today's episode resonated with you and you'd like to have me have Becky on again and answer some of your questions or any of those kind of things. And I appreciate you for tuning in again today. Leave me a review, leave me comments, subscribe, and let's delegate to elevate. Thanks, everybody. Bye.
So that's it for today's episode of Delegate to Elevate. Head on over to Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen and subscribe to the show. One lucky listener every single week that posts a review on Apple Podcasts or iTunes will win a chance in the grand prize drawing to win a $15,000 private VIP day with Bonnie herself. Be sure to head on over to delegate2elevatepodcast.com. That's with the number 2. And pick up a free copy of Bonnie's gift. And join us on the next episode.